Hi, Falcha. Welcome to your second email video, your second video in our Three Truths about the Ogham course with an Irish Tree, myself, Lora O'Brien. And hopefully you've watched the introduction video, which arrived yesterday and, was on your thank you page and all that after you signed up. So you have an understanding of the basic concepts of how the Ogham works and the structure of the Ogham, okay? And, maybe you looked at some of the other resources and the rest of the stuff that was provided in the email that you got. But today I want to talk about the importance of native source material. And that is your first truth, that you cannot get an authentic connection unless you're going to the source. Everybody has biases, okay? Now, it's not that native people don't have biases and native translations are not biased. And, particularly when you're working with some of the older translations and the time periods that they're coming from, there was a huge amount of biases in it, right? But generally speaking, when we're in a native culture, we have an innate understanding. We've grown up with this stuff. We have the culture running through our ancestry. And I know that, people migrate and ancestry moves, and that's fine, but that's not what we're talking about today. We're talking about the native source material. And one of the problems that we're seeing in modern paganism, and I suppose modern culture generally, is that things are being misconstrued by people who are outside of cultures. And I'm gonna talk about a tiny bit about the difference between appropriation and appreciation. And look, I completely get the desire to appreciate a culture, and my entire business, my entire life's mission is to authentically connect people to Ireland. That includes you. You're here doing this course. You have a genuine desire for authentic connection, and I'm here giving you free stuff. That's what I do. Obviously, I do paid stuff as well, and you're free to check that out at theirishpaganschool.com by all means. But I'm here for giving you free stuff. I'm spending my time. I'm spending my effort. I am giving you my 25 plus years of knowledge and understanding that I've gained working within this native culture and researching, and all the time and effort and all the rest of it that I've put in to connect you, to help you, to facilitate, to guide your connection with Ireland, with Irish ancestry, with Irish heritage, with the Ogham itself. I don't do that lightly, and I really, really want you to have the best information that you can. So what you'll see with the resources that I have provided and do provide, both in this course and in the Irish Pagan School, all my classes, on my YouTube, on my blog, everywhere that I go, I try and go to native source material first. And that runs from connecting you to Irish lore within its original form, within the manuscripts. And that can be a big deal for people because, it's easier to go and get some American or English person's version of it rather than have to go through and wade through the manuscript stories that often don't make sense. Let's call a spade, right? When you're reading the stories, it can be really difficult to work out what's going on sometimes. And by the way, I do another free 21-day Learn the Lore challenge over at theirishpaganschool.com. So go and have a look at that. If it is something that you want to look at Irish lore generally, it's a really nice little series just for, it gives you a little video every day, and you can join up with that. But finish this one first, okay? So I'm all about the appreciation. I'm all about making sure that the material that you're getting is as close to its original intent and its original meaning as possible, okay? I won't go in too much about appropriation because I believe that, well, because I talk about that a lot on my YouTube channel. There is a video called Cultural Appropriation versus Cultural Appreciation, or something to that effect, which actually I'll link that in the email as well. so you'll have it in your resources. But appropriation, people get very head up about the idea of appropriation, and what it really means is that somebody, where I have a problem with appropriation rather than appreciation is when somebody is profiting off a culture that is not theirs. And that can be financial profit or, social profit, like, making yourself seem cool or giving yourself like a power trip because you know stuff that other people don't know, all that kind of stuff. That all the different ways that people can profit from a culture that isn't theirs. And so that's like kind of step one, where that becomes problematic, and it's the first red flag. And step two basically is where there's no relationship, there's no feedback. So I see authors who have been writing about Irish culture or Welsh culture or Scottish folk traditions or anything, and I'm just going to stick to the kind of the Celtic nations myself, because that's what I know, and I don't want to step outside my lane either. But it does obviously happen with other cultural appropriation as well of different native cultures, particularly Black and Brown people who don't have, often don't have the voice or the privilege that us white people, most often white people in Celtic nations do have. So I'm very aware of that as well. Yeah, but I've seen many, many authors and educators and speakers at conference and all the rest of it who have been profiting very, very significantly profiting, both socially and financially, from any of the Celtic nations' cultures, who have never done a thing back for them, have never done anything other than take, 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 take. And that is a huge problem. So, like the importance of native source material, I can't emphasize it enough when you're looking at the Ogham, because the system in itself is incomplete. We'll look at that a little bit more. The third truth, it is very misunderstood, which we'll look at in the second truth. People kind of take one slice of it and think that that's enough, that that's the only thing that they have to deal with. And it's also like it's complicated. It's much bigger than people think that it is, and it goes a lot deeper and stretches a lot wider than is often portrayed by people, again, who are outside the culture. And I think that the work of working with the system, forming relationship with the Ogham, with the spirits of Ogham, it has to be done by people who are in right relationship with the Ogham. And that includes you, by the way, if you would like to take this further. That's all well and good. You don't have to be native to this culture to learn and practice and gain wisdom even from it, right? But it's when you turn around and start um, teaching it, profiting off it, certainly before you have studied it for 20 years like a Druid did, or before you have spent significant time in the culture that it came from, that's going to be a problem, right? That's going to lead to more misunderstandings, more misconceptions, more appropriation out in the world, and that is a problem. Okay, so all the source material, and I mean me as well, I'm a source, right? All the source material that you're going to get from me is native wherever possible, where it's not somebody who is native. For example, in my 6-month journeys program, my recommended textbook is Erin Rowan Laurie's own book, which is absolutely fantastic. And Erin is not Irish born. Erin is American by birth and a US person who's currently living in Italy, actually, as it happens. But like where I am recommending a source who is not native, it is somebody that I know has significantly contributed to the culture, and I've no problem with that. And again, it goes back to that appreciation versus appropriation. It's not that you can never make any money on it, but or gain anything from it, but somebody who is gaining without contributing is that problematic kind of appropriation territory, um, is where we're coming from. Now, obviously, this is very grey areas, and I kind of think by putting this video first that there's a lot of people are going to be turned off by it, right? And there's a lot of people who are going to go, no, fuck you. Sorry, I'm Irish curse. You know, like, who are going to get offended either for themselves or for the authors or the educators or, you know, the big name pagans that they have invested a lot of time and effort and energy into over years often. And do you know what? That's okay. Like, if this is problematic for you, if you don't agree with what I'm saying, like, you're wrong. But, you know, you don't have to continue with this. Just unsubscribe. It's at the end of every email, and that's okay. But I kind of challenge you to, especially if you're feeling that way, to sit with this and, you know, see where this takes you, see where this goes. Really think about it and think about your own actions and the actions of the teachers that are, um, I suppose, famous within our communities, who are not in right relationship with the cultures that they are profiting from. And that's a really, really important thing that I want you to take with you as I am offering you this free training from my native culture, from my heart. I am offering this to you, and I hope that you take that in good faith and you take it in the spirit that it was intended. And you can sit with any difficulty that you're having with that and really learn from it. And that when we step forward from here, hopefully together, that we can step forward in good faith and with the start of a right relationship between us. So I hope that makes sense, and I hope you're still with me, and I hope you don't unsubscribe. I'd really like you to stay with me on this, okay? So that is the end of our first email. Do check out the recommended resources and all the stuff that arrived with this video, okay? So make sure that you do all that, and I will see you tomorrow. So